I divorced my husband, thinking I deserved better, but now he's happy without me, and I'm full of regret. Hello Reddit I plus here. Have you ever do something thinking it's the best decision of your life, only to realize later you made the biggest mistake? Yeah, that's my story. I divorced my husband Kyle, because I thought I deserved better. And now? Now he's happier without me, and I'm left with nothing but regret. It all started a couple of years ago. Kyle and I had been married for 6 years. He was, how do I put it, a simple man. He worked at a hardware store, loved his fishing trips, and could spend hours tinkering with his old truck. Me? I wanted more. I dreamed of fancy dinners, exotic vacations, and the kind of life you see on Instagram. For a while, I convinced myself that Kyle's simplicity was holding me back. I'd tell myself things like, if only he had more ambition, if only he wanted the same things I do. And then Damien came along. Damien was an old college friend who slid into my DMs one day, and suddenly I had someone telling me I deserved more. He was charming, successful, always posting pictures of his trips to Paris or dinners at Michelin-starred restaurants. I let myself believe the life he painted was the one I should have. I pause, take a sip of coffee, and glance at you with a rueful smile. So I ended it with Kyle. Just like that. I told him I needed to find myself, to figure out what I wanted in life. And you know what? He didn't even fight me on it. He just looked at me, nodded, and said, "If that's what you need, Melissa, then okay." It was almost like he'd been expecting it. At first it felt freeing. I moved to the city, got a little apartment, and even started seeing Damien. But Damien turned out to be not what I expected. Oh, he was exciting at first, sure. But as soon as the shine wore off, so did his attention. One day he just stopped answering my texts. Poof. Gone. And that's when it hit me. I had thrown away a man who truly loved me for a fantasy that wasn't even real. I leaned forward, my voice dropping slightly like I'm confessing a deep secret. One night, in my tiny apartment, I couldn't help myself. I searched Kyle's name on Facebook. And there he was, smiling. Standing in front of a beautiful house I didn't recognize, his arm around another woman. She was gorgeous, curly red hair, freckles, the kind of glow that screamed happiness. The caption? New beginnings with my favorite person. I felt like someone punched me in the gut. He looked so happy, genuinely happy. And here I was, alone in a place that didn't even feel like home. I kept telling myself, Melissa, don't do it, don't go back there. But a few weeks later, I did. I drove back to our old town. I told myself it was just to visit, to check in, but really, I wanted to see him. I sit back in my chair, shaking my head, a small, bitter laugh escaping. When I got there, I almost didn't recognize the hardware store. The place was bustling, new sign, fresh coat of paint, the works. And there he was, standing by the entrance, chatting with customers like he owned the place. Because, as it turned out, he did. Kyle had bought the store, expanded it, and made it his own. He looked so confident, so alive. And there I was, sitting in my car, too afraid to even get out and say hi. I did finally talk to him, though. A few days later, I mustered up the courage and called him. He was polite, even kind. But it was clear he had moved on. He told me he was happy, that the divorce had been hard, but ultimately the best thing for him. And then he said something I'll never forget. "Thank you, Melissa. You leaving made me realize I deserved better, too." I pause, letting the weight of those words hang in the air before continuing softly. That was it. That was the moment I knew. I'd left thinking I deserved better, but in reality, he deserved better than someone who didn't see his worth. Now I'm just trying to pick up the pieces. I don't know if I'll ever find someone like Kyle again, but I know one thing. I'll never make the mistake of undervaluing someone who truly loves me. I finish my coffee and smile faintly. So, yeah, that's my story. The grass isn't always greener, you know? Sometimes it's just a different shade of the same disappointment.